Gather round, dear friends, for tonight's tale takes us back to the year 1590. The courageous crew set sail on a journey that would mark the dawn of a new era. This is the story of the first voyage around the world by Magellan by Antonio Pigafetta. Antonio Pigafetta. His real name is Francisco Antonio Pigafetta. He was born around 1491 in Vicenza, Republic of Venice, now Italy. Pigafetta was an Italian scholar, explorer, and navigator. He joined Ferdinand Magellan's expedition in 1519 as its official chronicler. Pigafetta meticulously documented the details of the journey, including geography, encounters with indigenous people, and various observations. Pigafetta was multilingual, which proved valuable during the expedition, allowing him to communicate with diverse cultures encountered in the journey. After the expedition's compilation in 1522, Pigafetta returned to Europe. The exact date and circumstances of Pigafetta's death was unclear but is believed to have occurred during 1531. Fernão de Magalhães, commonly known as Ferdinand Magellan. He was born around 1480 in Sabrosa, Portugal. His nationality was Portuguese. He proposed a westward route on Spice Islands, sponsored by King Charles I of Spain in 1518. They set sail from Seville, Spain on September 20, 1519, with 5 ships. Magellan was killed in the Battle of Mactan in the Philippines on April 27, 1521. The only surviving ship during the expedition was Victoria. Completed the first circumnavigation of the Earth in 1522 under Juan Sebastian Elcano. Magellan expedition contributed to global exploration and knowledge of geography. This is the story of the first voyage around the world. On August 10, 1519, under the command of the intrepid Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, 5 ships, the Trinidad, San Antonio, Concepcion, Victoria, and Santiago, departed from Seville, Spain. Their mission? To find a westward route to the Spice Islands and to circumnavigate the globe. As they ventured into the unknown, the crew faced fierce storms and treacherous seas, but their determination and resolve remained steadfast. On October 3, 1519, after a smooth Atlantic crossing, Magellan reaches the coast of South America. He spends the next few months exploring the coastline, searching for a passage through the continent that would lead him to the Pacific Ocean and ultimately the Spice Islands. 1520, the Straits of Magellan. There the ship sailed southward, hugging the coast in search of the fabled strait that would allow passage through South America. The fleet stopped at Fort San Julian, where the crew mutinied on Easter Day in 1520. Magellan quickly quelled the uprising, executing one of the captain and leaving mutinous captain behind. Meanwhile, Magellan had sent the Santiago to explore the route ahead, where it was shipwrecked during a tremble storm. The ship's crew members were rescued and assigned out among the remaining ships. With those disastrous events behind them, the fleet left the Fort San Julian 5 months later, when fierce seasonal storms abated. On October 21, 1520, Magellan finally entered the strait that he had been seeking and that came to bear his name. The voyage through the Strait of Magellan was treacherous and cold, and many sailors continued to mistrust their leaders and grumble about the dangers of the journey ahead. In the early days of navigation of the strait, the crew of the San Antonio forced its captain to desert, and the ship turned and fled across the Atlantic Ocean back to Spain. At this point, only 3 of original 5 ships remained in Magellan's fleet. After more than a month spent traveling the strait, Magellan's remaining armada emerged in November 1520. behold the vast ocean before them. They were the first known Europeans to see the great ocean, which Magellan named Mar Pacifico, the Pacific Ocean, for its apparent peacefulness, a stark contrast to the dangerous waters of the Strange, from which he had just emerged. In fact, extremely rough waters are not uncommon in the Pacific Ocean, where tsunamis, typhoons, and hurricanes have done serious damage to the Pacific Islands and Pacific Rim nations throughout history. Little was known about the geography beyond South America at that time, and Magellan optimistically estimated that the trip across the Pacific would be rapid. In fact, it took 3 months for the fleet to make its way slowly across the vast Mar Pacifico. The days dragged on as Magellan's crew anxiously waited to alter the words, "Land ho!" At last, the fleet reached the Pacific island of Guam in March 1521, where they finally replenished their food stores. One of the most significant challenges in March 1521 was the lack of provisions. The journey was much more longer than anticipated, and the supplies they had brought with them were not sufficient. These lead to the crew suffering from malnutrition and diseases such as scurvy, which is caused by a deficiency of vitamin C. Another obstacle was the navigation of the Pacific Ocean, which was largely unexplored at that time. They had to deal with treacherous waters, unpredictable weather, and the difficulty of finding a westward passage around America. As the warm, tropical sun rises on March 6, 1521, a hand-drawn Magellan, full of wonder and excitement, steps into the sandy shores of the island of Guam. He gazes upon the lush, vibrant greenery with a satisfied smile. His treacherous sea voyage now a distant memory. This was a significant event as it was first contact Europeans had with the islands. 10 days later, they dropped anchor at the Philippine island of Cebu, being only about 400 miles from the Spice Islands. The landing on Guam was the important stop during this historic journey. On March 17, 1521, Magellan's fleet reached Humonhon, an island in the Philippines. This marked a crucial point in Magellan's journey during his attempt to circumnavigate the globe. Magellan and his crew spent several days on Humonhon, where they established contact with the local inhabitants. It was during this period that they learned about the existence of the nearby islands, including Cebu, which would play a significant role in the subsequent events of the expedition. The first documented Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held on March 31, 1521, Easter Sunday. It was conducted by Father Pedro D. Valderrama of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition along the shores of what was referred to in the journals of Antonio Pigafetta as Mazawa. Magellan reached Cebu on April 8, 1521. The original date is on April 7, 1521. Magellan told his Malay slave Enrique to assure the people of Cebu that they came as friends, not as enemies. The Cebu chieftain Rahahumabon welcomed the Spaniards. Gifts were exchanged and two parties sealed their friendship with a blood compact. On April 14, 1521, the first baptism took place in the island of Cebu, in which 500 natives, led by Rahahumabon and his wife, were baptized to the Christian faith. Additionally, Magellan erected a wooden cross on the shores of Cebu, symbolizing the arrival of Spanish influence and the beginning of the spread of Catholicism in the archipelago. On April 26, 1521, he proposed to send one of his sons to bring 2 live goats as present to Magellan as a sign of his loyalty and thus to fulfill his promise of alliance. However, this action was prompted by Datu Lapu-Lapu and barred Datu Zula from taking such an action. April 28, 1521, initially April 27, Ferdinand Magellan and his crew engaged in a fateful battle at Mactan with the native warriors led by Lapu-Lapu. Despite their advanced weaponry, the battle is fierce and tragically, and Magellan loses his life. Devastated and leaderless, the surviving crew members returned to Spain. One of Ferdinand Magellan's 5 ships, the Victoria, arrives at Sanlúcar de Barrameda in Spain, thus completing the first circumnavigation of the world. Victoria was commanded by Basque navigator Juan Sebastián de Elcano, who took charge of the vessel after Magellan was killed in the Philippines in April 1521. During a long hard journey home, the people of the ship suffered from starvation, scurvy, and harassment by Portuguese ships. Only Elcano and 21 other passengers survived to reach Spain on September 6, 1522, with various precious spices, cloves, nutmeg, mace, turmeric, etc. Despite the loss of Magellan, the voyage has accomplished an unprecedented feat, the first circumnavigation of the Earth.